have an 8, a 10, a 10, a 10, and a 10. So what happens, no worries. So what happens is you have the scores. So 8, 10, 10, 10, 10. And what you do is you drop the lowest score and the highest score, and the most you can get is 30 points. So it kind of gives like a good way of if someone's, you know, thinking like, oh, I don't know about that poem, that at least that score gets dropped, and then someone who's kind of like, oh, I'm just gonna write 10s for everyone, then that person gets dropped. So it's somewhere in the middle is what you get your score for a slam poetry competition. Would any of you guys ever judge at a slam poetry competition now? No? Would you do it? No? And this is kind of showing how far spoken word poetry has progressed in our society. Maya Angelou did the inauguration. I think she did it for, was it President Clinton? Pretty sure it was, yeah, it was for President Clinton's inauguration. And then the White House in 2009, they did kind of like a White House poetry jam with music and poetry. And so this is Maida de Valle, and she's tours nationally around the world, but she was invited to the White House to actually perform her spoken word poetry. So it's pretty cool to see like how far it's progressed and how much it's become accepted in our society. So, and this is kind of where the mainstream of poetry started happening, was the Deaf Poetry Jam on HBO presented by Russell Simmons, and the host was Mos Def. Do you guys all know who Mos Def is? No, he's a rapper, I guess, like a hip hop artist, lyricist, and then Russell Simmons, you know, big record exec for Def Jams, and so this was on TV for 6 seasons, so that's a long time, and it has just a whole bunch of different poems, different poets coming up and performing with an audience, and then having a wide audience with HBO sponsoring it. So if you guys are ever interested in checking out the poets on here, you can actually Netflix. I think they might have it on Play Instantly, or you can at least order them, and there's just poets that range from all over the world that perform on there, and it's pretty interesting.
And what would the search term be? Deaf poetry?
Deaf Poetry Jam. And I printed out a list for everyone to where some resources to find stuff, so you guys can look through that too. And now the newest, I don't want to say craze, but kind of like the newest phenomenon with spoken word poetry is giving a voice to our youth. And I'd like Paul Klein at Kauai High School is giving youth a chance to really say what's on their minds. And as teenagers, I think we go through a lot of ups and downs and crazy emotions. And so what's been created is Brave New Voices, which was a documentary aired on HBO last year. And they started with a program called Youth Speaks Hawaii, which does after-school spoken word poetry workshops with kids, and they're just free in New York, in California, also in Honolulu. And they decided to document that there's this annual competition, and I just want to make sure I give you all the information about it. But basically it started in the first year that it started, there were only 4 cities represented, and then in 2010 there were over 50 cities represented. So these are all teams of youth poets that are performing in a national competition, slam competition for youth, and it's for youth 13 to 19 years old. So a teenager, and basically a teenager can be on a slam poetry team. And so they filmed the documentary. There's 2 of them now. So there's one for 2008 and 2009, and I have it on the resource list for you guys too, that you can actually check out some free podcast of the teen poets on iTunes, and they're free to look at, or you can also rent the Brave New Voices documentary series. But the biggest thing that was awesome, and what I'm going to show you guys, is that the Hawaii youth team actually won the first documentary series on the Brave New Voices International competition. So out of all 50 cities, Honolulu was number one to represent and win it. So actually want to go ahead and just show you guys that, and then we'll kind of play a little bit too. So.